Hello everyone. In series of video lectures on as part of series of video lectures on mining machinery, which is part of diploma in mining engineering course. Okay, in this video lecture, I am going to cover the second part of chapter one topics. Okay, before I start, let's move on. Let's recap what we had discussed in previous video lecture. Like in previous video lecture, we had discussed about different what are the different types of drilling machines used in mining in mining, mainly in underground mines, and their field application. Then we discussed about different types of what you call uh, this sketch the construction details of electric rotary drill or electric coal drill and the different parts of it, and what is the function of each part. Okay, with a neat diagram we had discussed about that, and we also discussed about the construction details of jackhammer drill or pneumatic drill, which basically operates by means of compressed air. Then we discussed about different parts of jackhammer drill. Jackhammer drill, like different parts, the parts something like what is the purpose of rifle bar, rifle nut, ratchet and pawl arrangement, etc. Like in case of what you call the jackhammer drill, right? The purpose of, if you know, right, the purpose of rifle bar is kind of rifle bar is the one which is attached to the piston, like which moves along with the piston during its to and from motion, and it consists of number of splines. So basically, it operates like, due to pressure difference that is being created in two chambers of the jackhammer drill, like what you call the back chamber is called the rear chamber, and the front chamber is called the back chamber is called the rear chamber, and there is another chamber that is called the front chamber. So whatever the pressure difference that got created, because of that, like the piston will be, there will be a what you call the to and from motion of the piston. Okay, along with the piston, the rifle bar also moves. So during the backward movement, right, basically whatever the splines of the rifle bar that has to pass through the rifle nut. So since the splines they may not be exactly fit into the, they may not exactly what you call during backward motion, right, may not be exactly fit into the what you call the into the grooves of the rifle nut, into grooves of the nut. As the result, what happens, it will try to rotate a little bit, it will try to rotate so that it splines exactly will passes through the rifle nut. So due to this activity, like due to this kind of mechanism, right, there will be a rotation of the rifle bar. So in every what you call the, in every to and fro stroke, right, the rifle bar will rotate 1/12th of its rotation, 1/20th of its rotation, and and again that rotation has to be only along in one direction. Unidirectional rotation has to be provided. So in order to provide a unidirectional rotation, we'll be using the ratchet and pawl arrangement, which basically arrest the movement of the rifle bar in the in the opposite direction, because it should allow only the what you call the rotation of the rifle bar only in one direction. So basically, in case of what you call ratchet and pawl arrangement, uh, the ratchet is nothing but a kind of track, and the pawl is kind of nothing but what do you call the sliding lever, which will be passed over the track kind of thing. So during the backward motion, what happens, right, it will try to penetrate into the track, and during forward motion it will simply allow that. That's what exactly the mechanism of it, which we discussed as part of previous video lecture. uh, then we also discussed about different parts, like what exactly the chuck. Chuck is nothing but it is what you call that at the one end of the jackhammer drill, where exactly the stroke or the energy of the compressed air, right, that is being transformed. Okay, it will be because during the forward motion, right, it gives a blow on the forward on the chuck. So chuck basically used, for transmission of the what you call the compressed energy through the drill rod into the drill bit. So that is what exactly the purpose of chuck. Okay, these are the topics which we discussed as part of previous video lecture. Now let us move on. So in this video lecture, like I'm going to cover like what are the different classification of different coal cutting machines and their applicability of the coal cutting machines. Then we'll discuss the types of power loaders used in underground mines, and along with their applicability. Let us then then we'll discuss the principle of working of SDL with a neat sketch, and then the principle of working of LSD. Then, if time permits, right, I'll try to cover this, like the principle of working of rocker shovel, Then we'll discuss about the principle of working of AM50, which basically used for road headers, right? Which are used for the drivage of the roadways, for the drivage of main gate and tailgate in case of long wall mining. And then finally we'll discuss, I'll try to cover the principle of working of joy continuous miner and what you call the miner and ripper type road header or the dint header. Okay, so these are topics which I'm going to cover as part of this video lecture. So let's move on. So okay, this topic actually I missed out in the last previous video lecture. I'll try to add. I just added it here. Like along with the pneumatic drill, right? There will be an attachment that is called air leg. So if you look at here, this is what the air leg is. It is used to hold the drilling machine in any desired position. So nothing but this is being operated by means of a compressed air. So due to this operation of the whatever the throttle valve that you have, right? T type of valve that you have, during this operation of this one, I can raise or the lower the height of the jackhammer. So this is basically the throttle valve is used, what you call, to place the drilling machine or to place the pneumatic drilling machine in any desired position. Okay, that's what exactly the purpose of this one. So and it because generally without, if you imagine, right, without this air leg, if you wanted to what you call perform the drilling activity using a pneumatic drilling machine, the worker has to hold the machine in a desired position. So which is a kind of what you call the tedious process, and which involves lot of risk. So basically if someone asks, right, what exactly the basic purpose of air leg, so its purpose is what, to reduce the risk of the worker during the operation of the pneumatic drilling machine, okay, to hold in any desired position. So it basically used to place the whole drilling machine in any desired position. So look at here, the air leg is used to hold the drilling machine in any desired position. It is used to reduce the fatigue of the worker during operation of the drilling machine. That's what exactly like we discussed. Next, air leg will not, see, this is very important. We'll generally will assume that, like, because the air leg is acting, it might provide some kind of drilling force, okay, so that you can carry out the drilling operation for drilling forward motion, so that you can carry out the drilling operation easily. But that's not the reality actually. Air leg will not provide any drilling force during the operation of the drilling machine. It basically just used to hold the drilling machine or the place the drilling machine in any required position. Next, coming to the classification of coal cutting machines. The following are the different types of coal cutting machines used in underground coal mines. Because coal cutting machines, as the name indicates, right, they are used to cut the coal, okay, to cut the coal during mining operation. It is like, instead of carrying out what you call the drilling and blasting operations, the coal cutting machines are used to cut the coal, so that what are the cutting picks or what are the cutting them they have, okay, they will be cutting the coal instead of performing what's called the drilling and the blasting operation. So you can say, like, what you call the with the use of the coal cutting machine, we can say it's a kind of what you call the a continuous method of extraction or machine mining method of extraction. Instead of conventional way using machines, you are trying to extract the coal. So now, now the coal cutting machines are classified into following types. So depending on the what is the length of the face, and what is the height of the face, and what is the purpose for which the coal cutting machine is being used. Based on that, the coal cutting machines are classified into following types. One is a short wall coal cutting machine. Second one is a long wall coal cutting machine. Under long wall coal cutting machine, again, depending on the length of the face, there are what you call the single ended, because if the drum is of single one, nothing but if the length is very short, we don't require two drums on the both end, right? Only one drum will suffice to carry out the what you call a complete cutting operation. So second one is what you call double-ended ranging drum shearer. It is nothing but dirts. So it consists. This is basically most commonly used in case of long wall mining, whose length is more than 100 meters. Dirts is nothing but double-ended ranging drum shearer. As the name indicates, right, it consists of two what you call the cutting drums on both ends of the shearer. Okay. Next one is the continuous miner. Continuous miner is used basically for the extraction of the coal. Why it is called continuous mining? See, let us try to understand what exactly the continuous mining is and what way it differs from the conventional method of extraction. So in case of conventional method of extraction, it involves some kind of cyclic operation. Suppose, let us say, I wanted to carry out the extraction of the coal from the face. Okay. So in order to carry out the extraction of the coal from the face, I need to perform the drilling operation. Okay. Then once the drilling operation, then I need to charge the holes. Then once the charging is done, then I need to blast it. So once the blasting is done, then what we will do now? We'll try to what are the blasted rock mass that is there. Okay, that will be what is cleaned out of phase. As a result, phase advances. So and the blasted material will be loaded onto the tops, so that like it will be taken to the surface. And then what happens? The phase, as a result, once soon after blasting, right? Once you clear the debris and whatever the blasted material that we get, okay, then the phase will be advanced. So this is a kind of what it involves, a kind of what you call cyclic operation. It involves a kind of operation that is called cyclic operation. That is why it is called non-continuous mining. Because one after another there is a delay. It's not a kind of continuous kind of thing. Whereas in case of continuous mining, right, it's something like what the coal is being cut by the cutting machine. From there, without any what you call cyclic operation, basically, whatever the coal that is being cut by the machine, it will be transported by means of whatever the conveyor that has been attached to the machine. It will be transported to a desired location. So it does not involve any kind of cyclic operation. That is why this kind of mining is called continuous mining. Hope you got it. Or like what exactly the difference between the cyclic and non-cyclic mining. Okay, if you go to the field, right, people will say it's a machine mining. Machine mining, nothing but what do you call, it's a kind of what do you call, the machinery is being used for the cutting of coal or for the extraction of the coal. So in order to extract the coal, or in order to cut the coal, there are different types of, as I said, right, there are different types of cutting machine that are being used depending on the length of the face. One is called a short wall coal cutting machine. Second one is in case the face is long wall, right? And there are two types again in long wall coal cutting machines. One is single-ended ranging drum shearer. There's nothing but surds. And the second one is called double-ended ranging drum shearer. That is also known as dirts. Next, third one is what? The continuous miner. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's discuss further on coal cutting machine. Sorry. Coal cutting machines in underground mines. The coal cutting machines used in underground mines are classified into following types. Number one, arc wall coal cutting machine. Number two, short wall coal cutting machine, because these are all what you can, some kind of legacy machines which are not that frequently is being used. In case of arc wall, right, it was kind of arc that used to get it. It's called arc wall coal cutting machine. Second one is short wall coal cutting machine. Third one is the kind of dent header. Okay. Fourth one is the long wall coal cutting machine. Nothing but in long wall coal cutting machine, again there are two types as we discussed few minutes back. Okay. Under long wall coal cutting machine there are two types. One is called single ended ranging drum shearer. Second one is called double ended ranging drum shearer. So arc wall coal cutting machines, short wall coal cutting machines are used for the extraction of short wall mining. Nothing but if the length of the seam is small and we need to extract it, the kind of coal cutting machine that is being used, they are known as either arc wall or short wall coal cutting machine. Next, long wall coal cutting machines are used for the extraction of the coal face of length more than 100 meters. Okay, so then generally the long wall mining is being applicable for a flat to moderately inclined seams. Okay, next, what kind of machinery that is being used in case of long wall? There are vertical, depending on the face length, right? There are like if the machine contains a single cutting drum, then it is known as single-ended ranging drum shearer. And if the machine contains two cutting drums, then it is known as double-ended ranging drum shearer, DURS. So surds are used in long wall mining for the extraction of thin seams, whereas DURS are used for the extraction of thick seams up to a thickness of 4.5 meters. DURS are used for the extraction of thick seams up to a thickness of 4.5 meters. Okay. Next, the following are the like you will discuss in detail about the construction details of surds and dirts in a new chapter. There was a dedicated new chapter on long wall coal face machinery. Okay, as part of that chapter we'll be discussing in detail about the the construction details of surds and dirts. But for now, like just let us have some idea like what are the different types of cutting machines that are being used in the mine. Okay, next, the following are the various components of dirts. Okay, what are the different components of the dirts? Like electric motor, gear head, haulage unit or hauling unit, you can say, power pack, and a cutting drum. So these are the major main components of DIRTs: electric motor, gearhead, hauling unit, not haulage, hauling unit. Hauling unit nothing but that the hauling unit is nothing but which is used for the movement of machinery all along the face while carrying out the cutting operation. Next, the power pack is basically used to to provide required vertical hydraulic fluid, right, to all the supporting machines and to all the power supports. Next one is cutting drum. Next, we'll discuss those are the different. That is about what you call the different types of this one. What do you call cutting machines that are used in underground mines. Now, let us discuss about the power loaders used in mines. 1 second. Let us discuss power loaders used in mines. So let us discuss different types of power loaders used in underground coal mines. So power loaders, right? After whatever the coal that is being cut by the shearer, any kind of the cutting drums, or in case of what you call the conventional method, right? Soon after carrying out the drilling and blasting operation, after blasting, right, the material can be what you call the transported, loaded up to a certain extent, and what you call in order to unload the material into the tubs, right, or in order to what you call the carry the blasted material and load into the tubs. Okay, we'll be using some kind of what you call the loaders. They are known as power loaders. So the following are the different types of power loaders used in underground mines. Okay, they are what you call load haul dumper. As the name this itself indicates, what it is loading the material. The hauling, that is nothing but it is moving up to certain distance, then it will be dumping the material. That's why it is called load haul dumper, LHD. And another one, second one is side discharge loader. Side, because since the discharge is toward the sideward direction, that's why it is called side discharge loader, or SDL. Because see here, if the what you call if the width of the opening is bigger, and you have what you call the even the machine can unload in the sideward direction, you have that much space, then we'll go ahead and use side discharge loader. And the last one is KO loader. This is being the KO loader is the one like which you load the material and unload it in its back of it, like it will completely take the material, but you can unload it, it's completely back end of it. That's why it is called KO loader. The KO loader is most commonly used in case of metalliferous mines. So we'll discuss the construction details of one by one. As I said, there are three different types of what you call the power loaders used, mainly used in underground coal mines. One is called the load haul dumper. Second one is known as side discharge loader, or SDL. Third one is what? KO loader. Okay. Now let us what you call discuss about the construction details. So okay, before what you call discussing about the construction details, let us see what are the applicable conditions. Where exactly we'll be using like each type of power loader. Okay, look at here. The load haul dumper (LHD) is used to transport the blasted material onto a belt or into tubs. It will be like what you call the load the material, unload the blasted material onto the belt conveyor or into the tubs. Okay, next one. If you look at the what you call the LSD, right? It is of what you call the tire mounted or crawler mounted. Because in olden days, right, the LSD is of crawler mounted. Nowadays, right, for quick movement or so that it can move quickly from one place to another place, it is of tire mounted, which is most commonly being used. So definitely, like the crawler mounted, it can be used on any gradient. Whereas coming to the tire mounted, there must be some kind of limitation, right? So it can negotiate a gradient of how much? 1 in 6. The inclination of the roadway is how much maximum? 1 in 6. Next, the LSD consists of two frames. Okay, if you look at its construction details, it consists of two frames, namely front frame. And this is wrong. Just a minute. Namely front frame. Second one is rear frame. That is nothing but the front part of it and rear part of it. Look at here. Okay, this I should move it actually. Okay, these are the applicable conditions. Then we'll see what are the applicable conditions. So the load haul dumper is used for the transportation of the blasted material in the underground mine. Okay, the following are the applicable conditions of LHC. Where exactly it is being used? Okay, the gradient of the roadway should not exceed 1 in 6. It should not because in case of tire mounted, right, it may slip, right? So that's the reason. No, the gradient of the roadway it should not exceed 1 in 6. Next, the hauling distance, like whatever the distance it can travel, right, to carry out the unloading operation. Takes the material into the bucket, and it has to travel up to certain distance. There it will be unloaded, right? So maximum hauling distance it should not exceed 200 meters. It provides flexibility of handling the material, and the roadway should have broader curvature because look at here. Let us say this is one. This is another one. Right? Let's say you have roadway something like this, an underground mine, and this is where your vertical the machinery is being moving, not double arrow. This is how the machinery either machinery can move like this straight, or machinery can take a turn kind of thing, right? Like this it can move. So if it wanted to if the machinery wanted to take, right, you need to wait some kind of like what do you call this kind of thing. Yeah, this kind of thing. Curvature you need it, right? It has to be connected like this so that it can take the curve very easily. So what happens here? It can because it contains of two independent components. One is the front one, and the second one is rear one, right? So it provides flexibility of handling the material, and the roadway should be of broader curvature. Of how much curvature is how much? 100 to 120 degrees. This is what it is. This curvature, if it is a broader curvature, then it can make a turn easily, and loading and unloading operation can be carried out very easily. So these are all the different applicable conditions of LSD. See, let me reiterate it. What are the applicable conditions of LSD? Like first one is the gradient of the roadway should not exceed 1 in 6. Okay. Next, hauling distance should not exceed 200 meters. Hauling distance it should not exceed 200 meters. Next, it provides the flexibility of handling the material. It provides flexibility of finding the material, and the roadways should have broader curvature. The curvature must be broader, having a radius of 100 to 120 degrees. So that's what it is. Okay. So look at here. This is what the construction details of LSD. Look at here up to this part. Let's see. Yeah, this portion. This is of one frame, and this part is another frame. Part is there are two parts, front part, and this is front frame, this is rear frame. That's what this one. Look at here, it has been written as marked as what, labeled as rear frame. This is what the front frame. This part is front frame, this one. Okay, so these two can be joined by means of what, some flexible this one, so that it provides some kind of whenever there is a turn, right, it can take the turn easily, it can negotiate the curves very easily. That's what it is. So this is what the operator's cabin. Okay. So this is what the operator's cabin. Here person can sit and start operating this. Here everything is being operated hydraulically. Okay. The rear frame will be having what, some kind of what you call the counter load, because everything is present on the front end, so it has to be balanced, right? The counter load will be present on the rear frame at this portion. This is for the counter load actually on the rear frame. And the front frame will be having what you call the hydraulically operated bucket. Okay, the bucket can be what you call operated hydraulically, and it will what you call the load the material. It will scoop the material inside during the forward direction. Okay, like this. See, it will load. It will move forward like this, and it loads the material. And what you call it can be lifted up to like this, and it will move up to what you call the along certain distance, because since it is carrying the material, there it will be unloaded. So that's why it is called load, haul, dumper. Nothing but it will load the material, it will move up to certain distance, and there it will be dumped. So just to what you call the repeat, it consists of, if you look at the construction details, right, it consists of two components basically. First one is what we call the rear frame. This is called rear frame. This part. This one is called what you call the front frame, rear frame and front frame. Okay, so this is rear frame and this is your front frame. Okay, and there will be what you call the bucket. The front frame consists of bucket, and the rear frame contains the operating cabin and other counter load. And these two are joined together by means of a joint. This joint is called articulated joint, articulated or flexible joint. Let's say what is called what? Let me draw it like this. This portion. This is called, that part is called that articulated joint or flexible joint. That's what it is. Articulated joint or flexible joint. This part, this one. So that it can negotiate, it can take a curve, and it can negotiate sharp curves also for the transportation of the material. So that's what exactly the flexibility we will be having using LSD. Okay, let's see, let's move on. Okay, see here. So as I said, right, in the what you call the previous slide, here I have wrote it. These things must move to first part of it. Let us do it. Let me edit it. Since there is some space, I think I might have added this, but it should not come here. It should be somewhere here. Right. I think this is more appropriate. So let's move on. Look at the construction details of LSD. Okay, as we discussed, right, the load haul dumper is used to transport the blasted material on belt conveyor to the tubs. Okay, it is of crawler or tire mounted. Okay, it can crawl is nothing but the chain kind of base, right? Like using that, it will move and it can negotiate any gradient. But in case of tire mounted, yes, there is a what you call the gradient restriction. It can negotiate a gradient of 1 in 6. Next, LSD consists of two frames, namely the front frame and rear frame. That's what a few minutes back we discussed. Front frame and rear frame. Okay, here. Okay, yeah, this is your what you call front frame. This is your front frame, and this is your rear frame. 2 points, and they are joined together by means of some articulation. So LSD consists of two frames, namely front frame and rear frame. The front frame is attached with bucket, and the rear frame contains counterweight along with engine. That's what it is. So both the frames are attached together by means of articulated joint, which will be used to negotiate the curve of the mine roadways. That's what it can take the kind of bend. That's what we discussed, right? So that's what it is. Generally, in the applicable condition, right, we require that it can negotiate a curve of gradient of an angle of much 100 to 120 120 degrees. So that much what you call the angle made by the curve is varies from 100 to 120 degrees. So that if you make the what you call the roadways of having those that curvature, so that it can negotiate, it can easily use the what you call for the transportation of the material, right? So it can take those kind of curves very easily. It can negotiate those curves very easily. So both frames are attached together by means of articulated joints, which will be used to negotiate the curve of mine roadways. The front end of LSD contains the bucket, which is operated hydraulically. The hydraulically no. Okay, 1 second. Okay. The hydraulic cylinders. The hydraulic cylinders are used. The hydraulic cylinders are used for loading the material to the bucket, because using hydraulic cylinder only the metal can be loaded and which can be raised up to certain height. Okay. Next, the loaded material into the bucket will be hauled up to a required distance by crawler or tire mounted hauling unit. That's what. So in the applicable condition we discussed, right? It can negotiate or it can be hauled up to a distance of how much? 200 meters, right? That's what we discussed. So the loaded material into the vertical loaded into the bucket will be hauled up to a required distance by a crawler or tire mounted hauling unit. Next, the material will be unloaded onto bucket by hydraulic pistons. That's what it is. It will be operated hydraulically, right? That's why it is called it will be unloaded by means of hydraulic piston. Okay, let's move on. Next, next one is SDL. Okay, we'll discuss that is about what called LSD. Then we'll discuss about SDL. So what exactly the SDL does? See here, SDL is nothing but side discharge loader. Sometimes it is also called as in some of the mines, it will be called as side dump loader, side discharge loader or side dump loader. Either way, it's the same. Okay, both are same. The side discharge loader is used to load the material inside load the material and what you call and dump in sideward from the face onto the tubs or miner because it will be unloaded in sideward direction. So that's why it is called side discharge loader. It is applicable on the roadway of gradient not exceeding 1 in 6. Okay, since it is being vertical loading and unloading, right? It is a sideward direction, right? So that's why it requires broader width of roadways as a material will be discharged in sideward direction. Next, as usual, as similar to that of LSD, right? It is also either tire or crawler mounted. So these are all the applicable conditions of SDL, side discharge loader. So let us look at the construction details. So this is what the diagram of side discharge loader. Look at here. So during front side, like it will be loaded. Okay, and while discharging, right, this entire bucket will be lifted and unloaded in the sideward direction. So that's what it is. So in the during loading, it will be similar to that of LSD, but during unloading, since it is unloading, discharging is being carried out in the sideward direction. That's why it is called side discharge loader. See here, if you look at right, the width of the roadway, width and height of the roadway required also more. Okay, the side discharge loader is used to transport the coal and the blasted material onto the conveyor. Suppose if there is a conveyor, right, you can generally the SDLs are used in combination of shuttle cars. Okay, shuttle cars with the conveyors and etc. Okay, shuttle cars. It will be used in combination with what you call shuttle cars. So look at here. If you look at this diagram, so this is what we call the diagram. This a typical diagram of SDL, and this diagram, this portion represents the side view of the other side view of LSD, like during unloading operation, how exactly it will unload the material in the sideward direction. So this is another side view of it. So basically, it is of in this case it is of crawler mounted, but in the field, right, it is of either crawler mounted or what you call the tire mounted. And this is there are different end bucket which is being operated by means of what you call the hydraulic pistons, and it doesn't contain any kind of articulated joint here, guys. So in case of LSD, right, there are two parts of it. One is the front frame and the second one is the rear frame, and both are joined together by means of what you call articulated joint. So if you remember, right, in villages, right, they will be using tractors. So the tractors are attached in the backside, some trolley kind of thing. So if you look at the jointing part of that, like it can negotiate the gradient, right? It is a flexible one. Even if the tractor can take the 90 degrees angle turn, like so that it can what you call it can move very easily. So that kind of jointing is called the articulated joint or the flexible joint. So that the provision is present in case of LSD, whereas in case of SDL, it is what you call it doesn't contain that. Okay, only thing is what you call it will discharge the material if there is a conveyor, right? Instead of front end, because front end requires a bit tough to unload in the sideward direction. Suppose if you have what you call because front end, if in case of what you call LSD, right, the loading and unloading operation is being carried out in the front, in the forward direction only. So what happens, right? It has to take a turn completely, and to unload the material onto the conveyor. It has to take it has to come to completely toward the reverse, and then only it can unload the material onto the conveyor. Whereas in this one, right, doesn't require that kind of provision. Like because it can what you call we can turn the bucket in the sideward direction to unload the material. That's what is exactly the advantage we'll be getting using SDL. Okay. See here, the SDL is used in mines is of crawler or tire mounted. The material will be loaded by SDL and transported up to certain distance and unloaded into unload into sideward direction. Okay, the main disadvantage of STL is it requires wider roadway and the metal is being discharged in sideward direction. Okay, the SDL is mainly what diesel or electrically operated. Okay, this I forgot. In case of LSD, look at here. In case of LSD, so look at here. In case of LSD, right? Like either it is of operated by means of what you call electrically or by using diesel machines. But if the LSD used what you call in underground coal mines, okay, mostly it will be of what electrical operated LSD. Like what you call it is being the electric required electric power supply to the engine is being supplied by means of what you call the trailing cable, which is a kind of there will be a rotating drum which is used for coiling and uncoiling of the what you call the trailing cable, which is which basically used to provide a power supply, right? So that is being used. Uh, so that using a what you call a flexible trailing cable, the required power will be supplied to the engine, and as a result, it can operate very easily. That is the reason there is a restriction of its hauling distance, because we cannot provide a what you call the cable of very longer length, because it's a kind of combustion process, right? It might get damaged sometimes, if the cable get damaged, the entire what you call the loading operation comes in a standstill. So that is the reason, like there is a restriction on its hauling distance. Okay. So it is of what you call the generally it will be the one which is used LSD is used in underground coal mines are of what you call electrically operated. But in case of metal mines, it is also of what you call diesel operated. So that's what it is. This is about the SDL. Next, coming to the Alpine Miner AM50 simulator. Okay, so the Alpine Miner AM50, they're all what you call kind of what you call machines which are used for the kind of what you call coal cutting machines which are used for the drivage of roadways used for longwall mining. So in case of longwall mining, for the drivage of roadways, like what you call the main gate and tail gate, right? For that purpose, we'll be using AM50, Alpine Miner 50. So basically, if you look at here, if you look at the construction details of it, this is very important. Look at here. It is in this case, it is of crawler mounted. So this is a vertical the front view of it, whereas this is a vertical its corresponding plan or the top view. So this is the front view. Like see here, it has written like this is the front view of it, whereas this is its top. Okay. Now it consists of, if you look at its construction features, right? It consists of what you call, this is what exactly known as cutting drum. This is known as cutting drum. This is of cutting drum. Yeah. This is known as cutting boom, or this one to which the cutting drum is being attached. So this is of cutting drum, having cutting tool. Okay, this is about cutting drum, which can be lowered or raised, which can be moved in sideward direction. So this drum can be moved. Okay, this is of cutting drum now. So as I said, right, the Alpine Miner, it is AM50. It is used for the drivage of the roadways, vertical during development of longwall phase, longwall retreating phase mainly. Okay, so this is about the cutting boom. This is called cutting boom. Next one, this is called the cutting drum. Okay, and there is a triangular ramp kind of thing. If you look at here, okay, this is a triangular ramp because this is of triangular ramp. Let us say in the email, if this, let us say if this is the face, okay, this is the face. What exactly the purpose of triangular ramp? If any coal is present here, okay, well, since it is being cut, any coal is present here, the ramp can be lowered or raised. This ramp can be lowered or raised. So that it will penetrate into the what you call the whatever the coal that is being present between the machine and the face. So that it will what you call penetrate into the heap of the coal cut by the cutting drum. Okay, it will penetrate into that. Then This triangular ramp, it consists of, look at here in the plan, right? If you look at in the plan, the triangle, this is what the triangular portion of, right? It consists of a gathering arms in this, because that's why they are called gathering arm loader. So nothing but, if you look at here, this diagram, this portion, this part, and this part. Okay, these two, it consists of two discs basically. One is like this, and another one is like this. Okay, it consists of two eccentric discs, so that it can rotate like this. One will be rotated like this, another one will be like this, which is used to gather the material. That's why this triangular ramp contains what? The gathering arms. The triangular ramp contains the gathering arms. These are all the gathering arms, which contains an eccentric type of discs basically. Like if one vertical lever is in forward, other one will be like this. When this comes inside, and this will be like this. Like this, so that it is something like vertical to and from motion of this. One every time one lever will gather the metal. Next time this like this, it gathers the material. So that's why they are called gathering arms. Okay. So basically, I repeat. If you look at the construction details of AM50, AM50 is nothing but alpine minor 50. Okay, which is being used for the development of roadways during development of longwall phases, mainly the retreating longwall mining. Okay, now here, look at here, it consists of a cutting broom. Generally the length of the broom varies from 12 meters to something like this. We'll discuss in specifications. Okay, this is about the uh, cutting drum, and it contains a cutting boom, and which is being attached to the cutting drum. And there is a triangular plate, and at the front end, and this triangular plate can be lowered or raised. Okay, on top of the triangular plate, there will be the gathering arms. Okay, which consists of an eccentric disc. On top of it, the levers are moving. Levers are present. Okay, so which are basically used to gather the material. So whatever the material that is being gathered, next let us move on. In the central, right? So this is the operator's cabin. In the central, if you look at it won't appear here, but in the plan you can see like this. In the plan you can see like what are the material that is being gathered here, right? Okay, it is being placed onto the centrally moving chain conveyor. That's what it is. This is the chain conveyor which is being moving centrally like this. It is being gathered by means of centrally moving chain conveyor like this. Okay, so there is a centrally moving chain conveyor. So whatever the material that is being cut by the cutting drum, that material is being gathered by the gathering arms, and which in turn places the material or the pass on the material onto the centrally moving chain conveyor. That is what it is. This is a centrally moving chain conveyor, and this is the other end of this one. This is called jib, because the jib can move something like this. It can negotiate in either direction. The jib can be moved. It can be moved. Oh, sorry, one second. I don't prepare this. Let me use. The jib can be moved like this. Get here, like this one side, and then like this on the other side. It's a kind of flexible jib. Because other end, if there is a conveyor, right, it is not exactly placed at this location. It is not present at this location exactly. Then what to do? Accordingly, the jib has to be adjusted, right? So it can the jib can be rotated in either direction, so that whatever the material that comes, right, you straight away pass on. From there, it will be carried forward to the required position by means of a belt conveyor. Okay, so this is what exactly. See here. Here the alpha minor, like depending on, right, it is of either crawler mounted or what you call tire mounted. Okay, it is of this is about the construction details of the alpha AM50 or alpha minor. Let's see. Let me clear this. Okay, look at here. AM50 is a road header. Okay, used for the drivage of roadways during development of longwall panel. Okay, the following are what are the components now? Because as I said, right, they are used. Let's say in case of longwall panel, let's say this is a longwall panel which you have. I need a line. Yep. Okay. For the development, right? This is one gate roadway, and this is another gate roadway. Now, if you connect them, this is a panel. This is what exactly known as panel, right? This is what. One second, sorry. This is what panel. Moving face. This is called panel. Okay. So this is a face. This portion is face. Now, this roadway. What you are talking about, right? This is what you call. This is tailgate or main gate, depending on that usage. Okay, these are the two roadways, right? So for the drivage of these roadways, because generally, if what in a conventional way, if someone wanted us to develop it, then we need to carry out the corresponding drilling and blasting operation. Instead of that, we'll be using directly the cutting machine, which basically they are used for the drivage of the roadways. So one of the missions which is used for the drivage of roadways used in longwall panel is AM50 alpha and minor. Okay, so let me clear this. Look at here. AM50 is a road header used for drivage of roadways during development of longwall panel. Okay, the following are the important components of what you call AM50. Sorry. Okay. The following are the important components of AM50. Cutting broom along with cutting drum. Second one is loading apron. Loading are nothing but the triangular one, right? That's called this one. And the gathering arms. The triangular section is known as loading apron. Okay. This is also known as the triangular section. Triangular, because don't get confused. Triangular section, different portion. That is also known as loading up. Next one is what? Gathering arm loader. Because on top of the triangular section, as I said, right, to eccentric gathering arms, so there is a what called a disc, and so on top of it, the levers are present, so that they'll gather the material. Gathering arm loader and central chain conveyor, right? And the other end there is a loading broom. Okay, these are the main components of AM50. Next, let us discuss like how exactly it works. The cutting broom along with the cutting drum. Okay, the cutting boom along with the cutting drum is used for the drivage of roadways of height up to how much? 4.2 to 4.8 meters, and the width of the roadway that we can drive is 3.5 to 4 meters. This is what exactly this one. The dimensions of the roadway that we can cut using vertical AM50 is height varies from 4.2 meters to 4.8 meters, whereas the width varies from 3.5 to 4 meters. Okay, next the cutting drum. What are the cutting drum, right? It is of ripper type or borer type. So depending on how the drum will be rotated, so that how exactly it cuts the face. So depending on that, the cutting drum is of ripper type or borer type, depending on the type of road header. In case of AM50, the cutting drum is of what? It rotates like this. That's why it is called. It rotates like. That's why it is called ripper type. Okay. So let's move on. Let me clear this. Okay. Clear my time. Okay, let's move on. Next, loading apron. The loading apron is provided with gathering arm loader. The loading apron can be raised by 0.5 meters and it can be lowered 0.3 meter below the floor. It can be lowered and it can be raised. It is of triangular section provided with gathering arm loader. That's what we discussed, right? Next, gathering arm loader. It is used to gather the material cut by the cutting drum from the face. Okay, the gathering arm loader consists of two eccentric discs provided with gathering arms. Next, central chain conveyor. The AM50 consists of central chain conveyor, which is used to transfer the material gathered by the gathering arm loader to the other end of the machine. It will be unloaded onto the other end of the machine. Next, loading boom. The other end of the right loading boom. The other end of AM50 is provided with a loading boom, which is provided with an articulated joint. Articulated is nothing but flexible joint. Okay, the loading boom is used to load the material onto a beam stage loader. This is called BSL. Suppose let us say if there is a conveyor and there is a machine. Let us say this is where exactly your conveyor is, and as the phase progresses, right? Let us say this is the end of your what you call the loading boom. Let's say this is being attached to the machine, and this is the end of the loading boom. Now, how to attach these two? Because this is the conveyor and this is the loading boom. There is another movable conveyor that is being used. That conveyor is called BSL, beam stage conveyor. This can be movable one. This can be moved here, and it is being placed on top of a movable kind of truck like this. And there will be a vertical, some kind of vertical movable wheels. So on top of it, this will be moving. Okay, let me look at here. Yeah, it will be moving like this. So it is rotating. So what are the meters? Sorry, it is not on the top. So it must be, this must be somewhere down. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. So it must be something in the bottom. Because from this, right, it must be from this material will fall on this, from this it will be fall on this. So it's a kind of intermediate, right? That's why it is called beam stage loader. Okay, see the other end of AM in loading beam, right? The other end of AM50 is being provided with loading boom, which is provided with articulated joint. The loading boom is used to load the material onto beam stage loader or onto main conveyor, directly onto the main conveyor. So this is what exactly. So with this, I'll conclude this video lecture. Okay, thank you.